My name is Theresa and I live in Camberwell, so I'm going to first start off with a poem about Camberwell, which is about a very eccentric gentleman who used to live up the road. His name was Dennis, but we called him Dogman. And this is the ballad of Dogman. In Camberwell there lived a man with 14 dogs in his backyard. His shorts held up with baler twine. He liked to keep his bare legs warm by rubbing them with lard. Each day he rummaged through the bins, his garden full of litter, drank tea from empty dog food tins and snacked on slabs of butter. His Georgian house had no mod-cons, no heat, no light, no water on. Windows boarded up with tape, the front steps piled with clutter. Matted hair, greasy beard, weather-beaten cheeks, eyes that looked right through you if he passed you in the street. The story was he used to be a teacher of photography, extremely learned in his day when gradually he lost his way. One day he simply disappeared, gone to the Maudsley, so we heard, sectioned and taken up the road, his ramshackle house gutted and sold. In Camberwell there lived a man with 14 dogs in his backyard, his shorts held up with baler twine. He liked to keep his bare legs warm by rubbing them with lard. So this is a poem about my dad, who died before lockdown, aged 93, of bad temper and old age. And it's called My Father's Desk. Magazines and newspapers neatly piled in date order. Envelopes sliced open with a knife from Spain. Sharpened pencils at the ready. In regimented lines like the toy soldiers you played with as a boy. A little lacquer bowl, shells, buttons, and a stone from the garden. Not this garden, the old one. The one with the lawn that was yours to mow, where you raked leaves in your old trilby hat. Came in as it was getting dark for cake. Your red notebook is here. Spidery sums dancing across the pages. I see you last paid the milk bill on the 15th of February, the week before you died. That's it. And because it is World Refugee Week, this poem felt very apt to read. So I volunteered in the Calais jungle working with the Refugee Community Kitchen, and this is a poem I wrote when I was there, and it's called I Don't Like Salad, But I Love the UK. There's a dead rat beside the bins, by the tables we set up, laid out with curries, rice and bread, where the boys sit on the railings, full of bravado and hopeless dreams, their shoes dusty and warm, waiting, running, then waiting again, like an endless game of cat and mouse. I met an old man from Afghanistan with a distant look, a faraway stare like a surfer watching through a wave. His home, a cardboard box. His family, dead. All he wanted to do was go home and tend his apricot trees. He could have been my dad, a lawyer, but his luck had run out. Wrong country, wrong place, wrong time. There, but for the grace of God, go we. And the queue for food snaked past the rubbish, the squalor, the mud, the watching police in the jungle. So this next poem was written about the tsunami, one of the many tsunamis, but the big one in Japan that wiped out a lot of towns and cities on the east coast. And it's called Kaze no Denwa, which means the wind foam. On a hill above Otsuche, there is a phone box in a garden overlooking the building site that used to be the town before it was swallowed up by the sea. The locals come one by one or in pairs, shuffling outside, clutching tissues, anxious faces, scarves and thick coats wrapped up against the cold. Pushing the door open, lifting the receiver, they dial numbers of homes that are no longer standing and speak to the missing, to loved ones who are lost, presumed drowned, The teenage son has walked from the station. His father, a lorry driver, last heard of on the coast road when the wave came. "I miss you, Dad," he said. "I made the baseball team." An old woman climbs the path, her back bent like an apple tree. She calls her husband, whose body has never been found. She asks if he is warm enough. There is no reply, just the sound of the wind. Okay, so this poem is based on some dreams. I kept a record of my dreams, and it's called Sleep. They were in front, thick, pungent dreads wrapped around their heads, stuffed into huge crocheted hats like hermit crabs. Rhythmic voices muffled against the steamy windows on the number 12 bus in the rain. Sparkling droplets dribbling down the glass. Did I recognise that hotel? All the people in matching shorts who danced the conga into the dining room? Except it was at school. And the blossom in the branches was festooned with tiny laughing frogs. And then the horses came, jingling and jangling at their bits. The last one, the grey one, the most beautiful, threw his head up and down, wild-eyed and cocky, steaming nostrils, the gaudy painted fairground line, and the crowds cheered. We went to the sea because the postman said we should, that the tide would be very high and the waves might crash into the car park. Wouldn't that be a sight? But we never got to see it because we found ourselves in Sainsbury's looking for ham and an avocado. And I thought I saw him standing by the crisps, but then he turned round and it wasn't him at all, even though he said hello. I had to rush to get the washing in. Gollum stuck his paw under the gap at the bottom of the front door. But that couldn't have happened, because he's been dead for years. Someone had a party in our street, and Antonio from number 14 taught everyone how to make cocktails in plastic cups. When he took his shirt off, we saw he was covered in tattoos. I must ask him to take it off again when I next bump into him in the corner shop. Someone has made spiral patterns out of little white stones all around the patio and sprinkled pink sand in between, like one of those mandalas you see in a National Geographic magazine. It will be spoiled when it rains. When I asked Michael to pass me the tea towel, he handed me his dog by mistake, and I was too polite to say anything. Okay, so this is my last one, and we come back round to Camberwell, and this is the bee man. The bee man sits by his stove drinking sweet coffee from a mug with "stud" written on the front. He bought the stove from Talia near the village in Turkey where he grew up and has olive groves, and drove it back to Camberwell in the boot of his Toyota. Stuffed in alongside bottles of olive oil so green they look like absinthe, that foul-smelling drink they used to serve in the French before it closed down, on the exact day when a manager tripped and threw soup over a large and very drunk food critic who turned and punched him in the face. The bee man sits by his stove on the allotment and plays backgammon on Tuesdays with the Kurdish man, who lives in the new flats on the corner. The Kurdish man complains he can hear his neighbour tapping her teaspoon against her teacup in the mornings. So how can he ever get any peace? What with that and the kids' two-door sang. One afternoon the bees swarmed into the pear tree, a fevered frenzy of buzzing. The bee man shouted for the Kurdish man to get in the shed, as aftershave makes bees angry. And an angry bee down your shirt is the last thing you need on the Tuesday afternoon. The bee man says you must talk to your bees. You must whisper them your secrets and sing to them, which makes the honey sweet and makes your wife lovely. The bee man's wife laughs and says she loves him anyway, even though he's never washed up and can't cook. The bee man says, if someone dies, you must tell the bees. If you don't, their souls will get stuck somewhere between here and there. The bee man says he once saw a ghost standing by the run of beans on a shadowy summer's evening when the light was thick and gold. He asked the bees to get it to come back so I could see it too, but it never did. Thank you.